Hi, my name is Regina Harmon. I'm the Executive Director of Food Recovery Network. While hunger exists in every zip code, it doesn't exist equally across all zip codes. To focus more food getting into the locations most in need, Food Recovery Network is hosting a series of free produce distribution markets at Title I elementary schools in areas we've identified as geographic priorities. We piloted this program in Atlanta, Georgia. Because of the success that we saw in Atlanta, we've expanded this program to additional cities, and we will further expand to other geographic areas in the years to come. Recently, our Director of Programs, Katie Aguila, had a conversation with representatives from Concrete Jungle and Community Farmers Markets, two Atlanta-based community partners who were critical in the success of this initiative and who will continue to play a critical role in the future of these programs moving forward. I want to say thank you to all of the organizations who helped to increase access to nutritious foods for our partner schools, our families, and our communities. I hope that this conversation will provide insight into the critical need of increasing access to nutritious food and the value that comes with developing community relationships to create community change in the ways that the community would like.
Well, Jenna, thank you so much for joining us and for being up for chatting and just kind of looking back at this journey of starting our work together in Atlanta, and then looking forward as well. I'm really excited just to hear more about your experience and how everything has been going since we transitioned the work to you. So cool. We can get started. Are you feeling good? Feeling ready, Jenna?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat it over. It's been a while since we've gotten to talk.
Yes, yeah, I know. It's just great to see your face again as well and to reconnect. So I do have some questions. I'll like adjust them a little bit as we go as well, just to match, kind of when you came on to the program and to the work. But we so I'll start us off and say hello. Thank you so much, Jenna, for joining us. And I figure we could start with just introductions. Would you mind just introducing yourself, who you are, and what your work and role is in Atlanta, and then I can go as well.
Sounds good. I'm Jenna Mobley, and I'm the co-executive director and the director of programs for Community Farmers Markets based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And we are a nonprofit that works towards food access in our communities. And we do that in a couple of ways. One is our food distribution points, which include traditional farmers markets, pop-up farmers markets, and now these free produce markets. We also have education and outreach programs. We provide vendor support. So we're a small business incubator for our farmers and vendors. And our fourth pillar of our programs is our financial incentives. So we work with Wholesome Wave Georgia to double the dollars for all of our SNAP and EBT users at our markets. So we have far-reaching programs, and we were excited to fit this one into the fold for our food access in Atlanta.
That's great. Yeah, you all are doing so many different pieces of the work and kind of like putting the puzzle together, right? All with all those different things, which I love about community farmers markets. So, you know who I am, but just to introduce myself for anyone listening, I'm Katie Aguila. I'm the program director at Food Recovery Network, and I began working with elementary schools in Atlanta a few years ago now, and was kind of there for the beginning of the work, and there as it continued to grow and deepen in the community, and as we brought on so many amazing partners, including you all. So it's just been such a cool and really like rewarding experience just to be a part of all these different pieces and phases of growing our produce distribution program. So it's great to be able to look back and look forward with you at all the different kind of pieces of this program. So I figure we can kind of start, at the beginning then. And I'd love to know just from your perspective, why did you for a little bit of background, right? We have been in touch with each other kind of over the years as we, as FRN built this program with elementary schools in Atlanta to distribute fresh surplus produce, and had kind of stayed in touch in various different ways. But then last year in 2024, which feels weird to say, we kind of more intentionally reconnected about kind of working together more closely on this project and on this program with our 3 elementary schools. And I really wanted first to start with, what did you see when we brought this program to you all to see about how we could work together and partner more closely? Kind of, what did you see as the value of this program? How did you think that it would be kind of fitting into the community and into the work that you were already doing at that time?
Yeah. So the first thing that really stood out to me is that it was an opportunity to deepen the work we were already doing. So we've been around for over a decade working in the same sort of geographic areas. And the 3 schools that you all were working in are 3 of the schools that are in our existing market neighborhoods. So they were schools where we were already doing our education and our outreach programs, where we were building these relationships over years to encourage those families to visit our weekly outdoor farmers markets. And so when you shared that you had a program that was helping with food distribution in that same geographic area, it felt like such a good fit to like deepen existing relationships at those same schools. That was the first thing that really drew us in. And then the next thing we noticed is that this really expanded what we were offering as far as food distribution as well. Up until meeting you, what we had been doing was going into the schools and doing education and outreach with both the students and the parents, saying, come to our weekly outdoor market. It's all the way over here. Get your transportation and come to this market over here. We can give you $5 to do it. We might try to coordinate some walking field trips or MARTA public transportation field trips, but we were trying to bring them somewhere else to go visit the farmers, which is still the mission of our organization. But the idea that we could come to them, to their site where they already were, where they were already picking up their children, and bring that fresh local fruits and vegetables to them, really expanded what we were able to offer to them. We were able to meet a lot more parents and students through these programs and have meaningful conversations with them about the offerings, and then still say, here's this free produce, these bags of these fresh fruits and vegetables. Now come see us for more and to meet your farmer at the weekly outdoor farmers market. So they really just fit together perfectly to expand what we're already working on doing, bring it to where they already are and build those relationships. It also was an opportunity for us to work more closely with Concrete Jungle and some of our regional farmers. So right now at our outdoor weekly farmers markets, we work with farmers within about 100, 150 mile radius. But Concrete Jungle gave us the opportunity to reach regional farmers with a broader offering of fruits and vegetables and be able to help find places for those seconds to go. We could help reduce that food waste by finding homes for them in these schools where there were a lot of families that could use these fruits and vegetables. So in that way, it also expanded our offerings to more farmers and gave more of a selection to our families and made sure we were preventing food waste on a larger level with these great partners, Concrete Jungle, that we've sort of worked alongside for a long time. We were looking for that perfect fit to collaborate with them, and this was the perfect chance for us to really intertwine with Concrete Jungle and their mission and vision as well.
It's really amazing how you've been able to like integrate so many different partnerships that you already had into this work, as well as to kind of just expand different partnerships and different pieces of your work with the schools. And so I just love that. I love the intertwining that you've been able to kind of accomplish with incorporating this program into your bigger bucket of work that you do, because it does just seem like it seems like a really good fit overall. So I'm wondering then, now that you've been on the ground at the markets doing these produce distributions at these schools, what has the response been from the community, from the students, the family, the schools faculty and staff? Kind of what have you been seeing on the ground as you've been there?
Yeah, they were always so excited to see us. And what has really been meaningful for us is that now we've done, I believe, 6 months of these programs independently. And so we've really built a relationship with these students and these parents and these teachers. They're like, wait, you look familiar. Like, you've been here the past couple of years, but now they get used to seeing me at dismissal every single month, along with my staff. We have an incredible staff that shows up. And that deepening of relationship with that consistent presence every single month, that has been one of the greatest successes. Is, what I'm noticing from the students and the faculty, staff, the parents, is that they know us. And for us as community farmers markets, that's an incredible opportunity for us, the opportunity to show up on a regular basis. And when they come, they're always excited to see what produce we've brought. We also always have an educational chef there that is creating a recipe with recipe cards using the produce. And so let's see, last month we did a spring slaw with a dressing that the kids really enjoyed helping the chef make. Before that, we did a succotash. We actually had a partnership with NFL player Truman Jones, and he came to our free produce markets and he made his family succotash to share with the families there. So that was very exciting. So we always have a recipe like that that's giving parents an easy, quick, accessible way to make a dish out of the produce that we're offering. So that's always a big response from the parents too, is like, what's the free sample? Can I have a recipe card? What do I do with this produce? And they're always just thrilled. It feels like such a gift to give them, to send them home with some fresh, locally grown, seasonal produce and a recipe card of what to do with it once they get home. You can just feel the gratitude, and they've been very vocal about that too. And actually this month we're really excited to very intentionally collect some testimonials. This is our very last month of the school year, although we did get a grant to continue through summer school, which we're really excited. But this is our last traditional free produce market for the school year. And so we are going to have a station set up where any of the students, parents, or teachers can tell us what the free produce markets mean to them. And we're hoping to capture some of those videos. We might also have a little dot survey where they can use dot stickers to tell us how it's impacted them and if they are eating more produce because of the free produce markets, if they've tried new fruits and vegetables. So we're hoping to collect some real data, but the response has been so positive. And you can only imagine how positive it was when we could partner with folks like Truman Jones, the NFL football player, all of that excitement of we're back again. You recognize our faces. We have new produce. We have a new demo. We have a new friend or new partners that are joining us. They're always thrilled to see us.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I love that you were able to invite Truman Jones there and to have him join and for him to share his family recipe. That sounds like so much fun. And I think a lot about how what I love about the markets is it can provide, like you were saying, this consistent kind of connection with the school communities and with the greater communities around the schools. But it also is a place where you can invite different friends and different partners and have a different fruit or veggie to highlight. And there's also a mix. So it's really this wonderful mix of this consistency, but also this place of excitement and new things and always like a little bit of a surprise because you also don't always know what produce you're going to get. That's the world of surplus produce and the world of seconds. And it always is. And so also just being able to highlight different fruits and veggies. I love that you've been just really highlighting and incorporating all of those pieces into the markets. It sounds amazing and just like so much fun. It's just such a fun event to bring to the schools and to be able to just chat with kids and families. It's a great time. It's a great way to spend the afternoon.
It really is.
Yeah. Is there, anything else that, before we move on to kind of some other pieces, anything else that you've been really either surprised or particularly excited or happy about with with the markets this spring so far? Is there anything that's just really stuck with you?
Yeah. One thing that stuck with me about this program, and as I mentioned before, we manage lots of different programs. And so we're constantly looking at what our output is and like what impact, what outcomes are coming from it. And this is one of our programs that is very efficient for us as an organization. It's very easy. It's easy as a setup. It's easy to implement. It is not very time, labor, resource intensive for us, but it has a huge impact. And that balance, I mean, it's been really incredible. And I think that's why we were so easily able to find funding for this program. And there's a lot of folks that are interested in expanding, and just having those right pieces, those right partnerships in place. And with an organization like ours, where we have all of the infrastructure to set up a market and we have the staff that knows how to do it, it is one of our most efficient programs. And so for us, being able to make a huge impact with limited resources has really stood out to us as something really special about this program. And another big thing that sort of surprised us that we're starting to build is that this has become a hub for lots of different resources. And so we have had organizations that provide rental assistance that now want to come to the free produce markets. And we have Wholesome Wave Georgia that come to our free produce markets to offer assistance with signing up for SNAP benefits. And just having that sort of hub where people can come and see some familiar faces, meet some new partners, get acquainted with some of the other resources in their neighborhood. That's not something we necessarily expected when we started this program, but it's our greatest dream that we could create not only a food distribution site, but also a community gathering space. And that continues to be what it's growing and evolving into as we start to layer some of our programs and invite some of our partners out to the space. It's becoming a more robust community gathering space. And that is our greatest hope for everything that we do as an organization.
Oh, that's so great to hear that you've been just building this really, it sounds like, strong hub of different resources, and just allowing the space to function in so many different ways. That's incredible as well. One of our hopes as well with this program was that we could really tap into the fact that elementary schools are already a hub for communities, right? They're already where folks go. 5 days a week during the school year, sometimes even more. And in the summer, there's programs, and there's just already so many things that are tapped into the schools. And so I'm so excited to hear that you're continuing to build that and to create these partnerships with other groups, because I think there's so much wonderful opportunity in that space. Oh, and then wonderful. Okay, so we also have Concrete Jungle joining us, which is wonderful. We'll take a moment to let Katherine join in, make sure we can hear you, you can hear us, all of the Zoom things. But yeah, so we also have Katherine Kennedy here from Concrete Jungle. Katherine, so wonderful to have you here. Thank you for joining. Would you take a moment just to introduce yourself and what your work, what your work at Concrete Jungle is, who Concrete Jungle is, and then we can continue to dive back in. And Jen and I were just kind of chatting about the beginning of the markets and how we got to this time with each other, and then how things have been going this spring and what she's been seeing with the program. So would love to,
Yes.
have you
I
share your insights as well.
thank you for your flexibility with timing. Please be like, if I'm repeating myself, be like, we already covered that.
You're good. You're good. I will, but please, start with intro, and then I would love to go back and ask you a couple of the questions as well.
Totally. My name is Katherine Kennedy. I'm the executive director of Concrete Jungle. We originally were a gleaning organization. We still consider ourselves a gleaning organization. So that means we find fruits and vegetables growing in urban areas and also on farms that are not being used, and harvest them to take to soup kitchens, food pantries, any type of food assistance agency, in this circumstance, schools. And we, for our first 10 years, we're literally just picking every single piece of food that we donated with our own 2 hands or 100 hands, depending on how many volunteers we had. But But during the pandemic, we pivoted to actually purchasing imperfect produce from farmers. There's so much produce that is grown on farms and then harvested, but then graded out because it's too big or too small or crooked or just doesn't look like what people want to see at grocery stores. And so we started purchasing that food that farmers would have otherwise had to throw away or compost, and using it for pandemic relief efforts. This is part of a purchasing collective with CARE USA, Atlanta Public Schools, YMCA, Chris 180, and the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. And as that purchasing collective and COVID efforts kind of winded down, we took the program on as our own. And now, last year alone, we moved like 2.1 million servings of fresh produce through the program. These are all produce that we purchased from Georgia farmers that would have otherwise gone to waste. So help the farmers to reclaim a little bit of money for their efforts in, amending the soil and growing the food and harvesting and paying their laborers and then putting it in cardboard boxes and getting it to us. But also keeping it out of landfills, and then, most importantly, making sure that every person in Atlanta has access to fresh produce. And that's really our guiding light, is that we really believe that food is medicine, and we believe that this food has so much power to make people feel healthier, happier, be more successful in school in the case of this project that we're working on. And so we are just thrilled to be a partner. And I think Concrete Jungle and Food Recovery Network have danced around each other in several different configurations. And I can't even remember the first one because I think, Katie, you weren't even involved, but it was involving the EPA. And then I think we finally landed on this project when y'all started opening up free produce markets in schools, and you reached out to us to be a vendor, which was such an honor. And I think that's like, this is the goal for Concrete Jungle, is that we can be the go-to produce people for these types of markets, for these types of food access opportunities. So I guess it's been 2 full school years, potentially more. Has it been more?
This is the third school year now.
Okay,
right, which is kind of incredible to think about. It's been a little bit.
It's been a little bit, and I think y'all have really honed in on like what is the types of produce that people want to see, what are the types of produce to make it feel like a full market that has things that attract people to the market. And it's been amazing that we've been able to really get everything from Georgia farmers. I think, there have been times where we've wanted fruit and we haven't been able to get that from Georgia farmers, but most things, because, South Georgia stays hot all the time, it's been pretty easy for us to source food. I will say, I think we've had to go to Florida a couple of times and North Carolina a few times to get things. But yeah, that's been an amazing, amazing opportunity. And, I think for us, we've grown a lot over time. And I think we now have more connections with Georgia farmers. So we're now sourcing even more varieties of produce for the markets from Georgia farmers.
Yeah, it's been incredible to see how your network has also grown and deepened since we first started working together for this program. And how you've been able to, just build a really strong network of Georgia farmers. And I just love that you've been able to build more connections, and then be able to move more of that Georgia grown produce to schools. Like, that's just, it's been really wonderful to see you be able to grow that piece of the work. You hit a lot of the questions I was going to ask you in the beginning. So perfect. Well done. But I'll look back real quick with you before we catch up to, how things have been now, and then also looking to the future. But I wonder on your end, Katherine, for Concrete Jungle, one thing I'm just curious about is, was this joining this program really a new piece of work for you all when we started? Was it an extension of, how much was it new versus how much was it an extension of your work? And then what was that like for you all? Was it smooth to kind of bring this into your programming and or not, and kind of just what was your experience with first starting as a vendor with us, and really helping us also build this program together, really. And we had so many conversations with your team about, oh man, what can we source? What is it like? What, down to the details of how many cucumbers per family should we, should we be ordering, and all of these very specific questions. So, I really think of you all as such a strong and really key partner for really helping us understand how to do this work well with schools and with produce. But what was it like on your end?
We've done other markets before, and that was a big part of our partnership with the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. Was they do resource markets, sort of like what Jenna was describing, is now evolving from these free produce markets. The Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs has always used the produce as a tool to bring families in, to then help them with rental assistance or any type of like legal needs or documentation needs or job needs. And so, but we were not quite as involved in the process, and it wasn't as evolving. So I think they were very specific about, like, we have these many families, this much food that we need, these types, and it kind of just ran itself. But I think it's been really wonderful I think y'all have treated this as more of a partnership of like, let's learn together and let's see how these markets evolve and how we can get more traffic and how we can hopefully change the taste or the desires of the families that we're serving to eat more of this fresh Georgia grown food. So it's definitely been more of a conversation and more of an evolution over time. But it's always been a goal of ours to be in schools, because there is unfortunately so much need in schools, but there's also tremendous opportunity to provide produce. So I would love to think of this, as Jenna described, as a stepping stone to providing more free produce markets at other schools, but also hopefully as an opportunity to find ways to get produce into the actual schools and to the actual cafeterias, which is obviously a really tricky thing, and now made even more tricky by LFPA funding being cut. But I think in some ways, like, just having community farmers markets and Concrete Jungle's name and like logo present every month, and having it be something where the school administrators are seeing us every month, and hopefully we're gaining more traction through like publicity through the United Way or through our NFL ambassador, people will start to think about this more, and they will start to think about why are we just doing produce in this one very important but like very discrete moment in the month, as opposed to having this be something that kids have access to every single day.
Absolutely. It's a lot of this work, I find, is just building that initial relationship, and then being a familiar face, right? Also building that trust with the schools, as you all have been doing at this point, for Concrete Jungle over the years, and now with Community Farmers Market being so, taking on this work and leading it. You all are these groups that folks can trust at the schools, and that they know that you'll show up, and that also this food is beautiful, and all of those different pieces, I think, just helps like build that stepping stone that you're talking about, right? To integrate even more into the schools, which I agree would be incredible to have Georgia grown produce in the cafeterias. Amazing. For you both, I'm wondering what, as we've built this together and worked together over the years, what has been the biggest challenges for you both in, with navigating this program, or, any particular pieces of it?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is just always looking for new ways to deepen the impact and to reach more families and more parents, and the ones that need it the most. One of the limitations that we have currently with this program is that the parents and students that we reach are the ones that are being dismissed to their parents in the afternoon, where a lot of the students are going to the after school program or they're going to other after school clubs. And we are looking for ways to make sure we are reaching as many families as possible, regardless of how they are dismissed in the afternoons, and hoping that we're not limiting our reach to the parents that are able to come pick up their students in the afternoon. So that has been a challenge. It's also been something that we've been really creative around and come up with some solutions for. But for each of our individual schools, I think that is going to be our next big push, is who are we not reaching and how can we reach those families? Because while we are reaching over 100, 150 families at each of them, the school attendance is upwards of 300. So there's still more that we can reach, both quantity-wise and just making sure we're reaching the folks that need it the most. That's our next biggest challenge, and will require some more creativity on our part on how we distribute it and how we reach the folks we want to.
Yeah, I mean, I want to echo what Jenna said. I think there's so many opportunities to reach more folks and to engage in different ways. Like Toomer has the cooking club, which is such a cool opportunity for like taking produce from the market and bringing it into the cooking club and then really familiarizing kids with the produce. And so I see there's a lot of opportunities for continuing education and just, again, lowering the barriers to accessing this fresh produce, which Jenna and the CFM team is amazing at. And I'm excited to see how there's opportunities to partner with schools to do more of that. I think for us, we are always, we're always at the mercy of the farmers. We're always at the mercy of the season. There are a ton of unexpected things that could happen, especially just like with the weather, but also with changes that are happening in the economy and with labor. And so, we are going to continue to expand our network. As you mentioned, Katie, like we've already done a great job expanding our farmer network, but I think in order to build some resiliency into this program in a season that it has like a lot of changes, we're just continuing to drive our farmer network to expand and to make sure that we can really be a reliable source of produce whenever it's needed, and hopefully as the program grows. And then I think the last thing that Jenna and I would probably both say is, of course, funding is always a challenge, right? Like this was such an amazing partnership that Food Recovery Network brought and was like, okay, like we got it. We're covering the cost. We're covering the cost of produce. And so now CFM has done a great job fundraising, and we're working through some funding we had to support. And I think it's just going to be an ongoing thing, which is the name of the game with nonprofits, right? But it's going to be an ongoing thing we have to fundraise for. But I believe that we both find a lot of value in this. And so we'll continue to figure out ways to continue to support it.
And to add on to that too, I would say, we've mentioned both of these themes before, but part of the reason why we need to do fundraising for this is that to make a bigger impact, we need to be there more than once a month. This is not a long-term solution for behavior change. It helps a lot. And we always schedule these markets right before students are going on a break, so they'll have access to more food when they don't have access to school lunch. But I would love to see this happen more regularly at these schools, or other creative solutions, other ways to bring these families to our weekly outdoor farmers markets, or to provide other pop-up markets or a school-based grocery store, or what are the other creative food access solutions that can build on this program. And all of those will take funding. But I think just saying out loud that once a month isn't enough. It's not the only solution to food access for these families. It is a very important piece of the puzzle, but there's a lot to build.
Oh, absolutely. Right. We know that the desire for fresh produce and the need for it is absolutely there. And the school communities are looking for more access and more ways to bring fresh produce home. And so the funding is always a question. And it's a question of how can we, right? We know it's valuable. How can we access the funding that we need to build all these different pieces of it? Especially, Jenna, when you're talking about who is able to actually access the particular market model, right? We know that that doesn't necessarily like fit bus riders, right? Or students, like you're saying, who stay after school. And so, right, what other ways can we increase access to fresh food at the schools? And there's so many different, like, exciting, innovative ways. Especially, I love the school, like a school grocery store. I've been seeing that more and more as a kind of an idea of how to bring all these things together, and I'm really excited about those kinds of opportunities. I'm wondering for you both, then, as you think about all of these things, are there other particular partnerships that you think would really strengthen this work that you're looking at, or that you're like, I'd love to find, right? I'd love to find this particular partner that can do this piece.
Katherine, go ahead with any of your ideas. I'm going to keep thinking.
Well, I guess there's two ways to look at it, right? Like, we could go deeper and we could work more with the school and administrators and figure out ways to get produce either more frequently there or into the cafeteria. So I think that's something that's really interesting to me. I think the lower hanging fruit is taking the model that y'all helped us to start, and I feel like we've really honed in on now, and taking it to other schools. And I think that's the easier sell. That's the thing that we could literally, if somebody said, okay, we want it and we can fund it, we could do it tomorrow. So I think in reality, probably spreading our wings and going to other schools is the more likely partnership that will happen sooner. But I would love to see deeper partnerships with the existing schools. And, maybe it's not cafeterias, maybe it is more of these types of cooking clubs or types of like actual having the produce inside of school curriculum. And then, oh, you said something that made me think about the summer feeding programs, which have unfortunately been cut a lot. And Fulton Fresh is like the Georgia Extension or the Fulton County Extension program. And I know that there's opportunities there. I mean, again, I think there's lots of opportunities. What we're seeing in our work personally is that there are so many people that want produce right now. Every single one of our hunger relief partners, whether it's a food pantry or a church or a soup kitchen, they have seen an increase in the clients coming to their distribution that's increased like 50 to 100%. The need is just so tremendous right now. But again, it's all about like, how do we actually fund this? Because we're paying for this produce from farmers. So that's my short and maybe slightly depressing answer.
I'm kind of thinking similarly in that the partnerships we need are the ones that kind of connect the dots of the existing organizations that are doing the work. One of my first thoughts is, we have weekly outdoor farmers markets in all of these neighborhoods near the schools. At all of those outdoor farmers markets, we're able to double the value of SNAP dollars, and we have an organization, Wholesome Wave, that helps sign folks up for benefits. And how do we connect that outdoor farmers market with these free produce markets? And is that a partnership with MARTA to get free Breeze cards for the parents, or do MARTA field trips from the housing centers to the farmers markets? Or how do we get the mobile markets to come fill in some of those gaps? Like, there's a lot of solutions that exist, but connecting the dots so that parents and families have a simple way that they don't have to navigate and they don't have to go figure it out. If we can all work together to provide them with simple ways to access food from multiple different organizations and multiple different distribution points, whatever the partnerships are that can connect those dots, I think is what we need to really create a long-lasting impact. There's a lot of organizations doing the work, but coming together so that it's easy for our community to navigate, I think, would be a great next step.
That's such an important piece, right? That there are all these, there's you all, there's also these other groups that are doing that have similar missions, and their goals are to increase that fresh food access. But sometimes the bureaucracy of all those different pieces, it's siloed. The work is so siloed. So similarly, I really see like FRN's role in this is, as being able to start connecting those dots, right? Like, and bring us into the room together to figure out how we can make this happen, and bring more fresh produce together. But then there's so many other dots out there. There's so many other pieces. And a lot of times it's like, how can we just get in the same room and then, connect our programs so that, they are easier for people to access together rather than separately. So I'm really excited about all the potential that you all are seeing on the ground, even with all of the challenges and really the unique challenges right now that we're seeing in seeing this year, especially. It won't, it'll continue to impact this work, continue to impact farmers, continue to impact schools. And also I see, all of the amazing work that you all are doing to stretch to fill those gaps and to be able to continue to show up for our schools and our neighborhoods and our communities. We have a few minutes left, and I just want to open it up to either of you if there's anything else that you want to share about this work and what you see, what you're seeing is the value or even the opportunity. We've touched a lot on the different ways that you see that this program could grow and expand, and also deepen, and that's always that balance of the depth versus breadth. We talk so much about that at FRN, is how can we really take both of those things into consideration and then find a path forward that balances those two. But is there anything else that really just is sticking with you from building this program on the ground?
Well, I mean, I think we both owe a tremendous thanks to Food Recovery Network for setting this up and, really making it so easy for us to plug in and then for CFM to join. I think it was relatively seamless for inheriting a program from someone else. I think y'all did a lot of the legwork and that was really amazing. I'm sorry, I was joining the call late, so I am curious, did you talk any about how that started? Because I really don't know, how y'all started establishing those relationships.
We didn't touch on it too much. Do you mean particularly with the schools?
Yeah, with the
Katherine? That was really, it was almost like a friend of a friend of a friend. It was a really organic connection initially with the schools, that we got in touch. We got in touch with one school, which was Tumor, our initial school. And that was through, Jenna, it might have been through you that initially gave me the name of Tumor. So it's truly a full circle where I'm like, we've been connected in so many different ways, and we know it. But when we were looking to transition the produce work we were doing in Atlanta from working with other hunger fighting orgs that weren't at schools to trying to tap into elementary schools as a hub. Jen, I think you introduced us to Katie Clark at Tumor and thought it might be a good fit for their school. And so we piloted the model there. And from there, I got in touch with our two other schools, Parkside and Benteen, who had reached out to me because they had seen in some way that this was happening at Tumor, and they wanted to know, how can we get involved? How can we bring this to our community? So it's both speaks to kind of think the organic nature where momentum builds once you actually are showing up at the schools and people see what's going on and they're interested in learning more, but also to the absolute necessity, right, of partnerships from the beginning, because it's through your connection, Jenna, that we actually were able to initially get in touch with our first school. So I think it just shows, right, those twin things that always need to be there when building a program and a model like this. So it's been a winding road to get to this, and we've learned so much with you both, and with our other partners in this work of really what works, what makes sense, what kind of model can be flexible enough, right, to transition in a way that is as smooth as possible, but also that could be brought to other schools. And so it's always funny when I think about, oh yeah, those were the steps that got us here. But Jenna, I want to give you a chance too. Is there on your end anything? Anything else you want to share about this program?
Yeah. To me, I think the success of this partnership, you really started to speak to it there, is that each of the organizations came with what they do best. And I think what community farmers markets could offer from the beginning is the relationships. We've been around a long time, so we could pass over the contacts. But what we didn't have was this vision for this new model, this creativity, the innovation, the funding to try something brand new. And that's where Food Recovery Network came in, as y'all could come in and try this and do the trial and error and figure out the best practices and build it from the ground up. That's something none of us could have done. And like, you created a pilot that worked so well that by the time you came to us and you said, okay, Concrete Jungle, you are the experts in sourcing. This is what you do. It's what you do well. Okay, Community Farmers Market, you are the experts at doing markets. This is what you do. It's what you do well. By the time you pulled us in, you had a system that we could inherit without that risk, without that investment in the trial and error, right? We could jump right in and do what we do well. And I just have so much gratitude to your vision and your ability to try this out and build something that we were able to inherit with partnerships where each of us were really doing what fits our mission and vision as an organization and what we're good at. It was such an easy way for us to come in and bring our infrastructure and our systems and our staff that do markets. It was such an easy transition into a new model that has really expanded and deepened our mission as an organization. It's now like one of our most core programs. It's something that we are the most proud of that we do, that we would have never dreamed up on our own. You know, I really think the success came from having y'all build this pilot that works so well and identifying the perfect partners to do each individual piece. And it has worked beautifully since then.
It's really helpful to hear as we we've been expanding this model to other cities and other areas. And as I think about what can we build to actually allow another, a local partner to really take this over and to then continue to build and expand it. It's so key that we actually build something that is sustainable and makes sense and works for our coalition of partners. And so this is just this is such a central learning and knowledge for me to then take with us to our next communities and to hopefully continue to build just more produce access across a lot of different locations. That's our goal and our vision. Thank you both so much. This was really, really wonderful to be able to talk with you both and just kind of pick your brains and kind of get insight into how it's been for each of you as we really built this together. I truly see it as a program that not only wouldn't happen without either of you involved, but also it has just been it's just been so integral to have you with us and to build this together. And that's what's made it a success today. So thank you so much for your time. It was so great to see you both as well and to be able to talk.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited. I think you started something that could really spiral into a whole beast of its own. So I'm excited about where we're going from here.
Yeah,
me too.
Updated and let us know how we start with all of the new schools, or sharing any lessons learned. We are your biggest cheerleaders.
And us for you too. I'm already thinking that another check-in like this is in order for us as you continue to build in Atlanta as well and continue. It just so key to just learn from you all as you're also going beyond what we have ever done with this program and to see really what can it turn into and what can it become for our community. So very excited to chat again soon and to see what's happening.
Thanks, Katie.
Amazing.
Thank you both. Have a good rest of your days and we'll talk soon.
Yes, you too. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.